Right now. Hi, welcome. My name is Kristen Brumfield, and if you don't know me, I'm your school counselor. And I'm so pleased to have you joining us for this freshman orientation. I think it's our fourth one we've ever done, or maybe our fifth, but I'm really thrilled that we have started this, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your evening to Zoom with us. So I've invited some of the high school teachers who were able to come and be here tonight so they can introduce themselves, and I'll let them do that in just a minute. You'll also be hearing from some students, some upperclassmen later on, who are going to speak about their own experiences as well as help us with the questions and answers, so that it's sometimes really nice to, I think the students, the freshmen appreciate the perspective of fellow students maybe a little more readily than those of us, of the adults in the room. We are recording this, so if you know of other families who maybe need to catch it or might want to catch it, we'll be able to let them do that. I really want this to be sort of a casual moment. I'm going to give you a great deal of information, and I recognize that your brains may be on overload at all of it. Please know that this is not the only time or the only opportunity for you to get this information. This is a very swift and broad overview of information of kind of what high school looks like, / what high school might look like this year, because everything looks different, right? So if you hear me say something, or one of the other teachers or one of the students say something, and you're like, I do not get that, you certainly may ask questions. But if you want more information about it, you're going to hopefully hear me say most of this a lot of other times. And so this is not the only opportunity for some of that, okay? There is a great deal of information, but it's going to be great. I do want you to please, if you have a question in the moment, please go ahead and just ask it. You can raise your hand, or better yet, just unmute yourself and speak it. Because if you're anything like I am, the older I get, the harder it is for me to remember something 30 minutes later. And I'm like, oh, I had a good question. I don't remember what it was. It was about school. Like, I don't know. So please don't hold on to those. Ask them as you have them, so you don't forget. Okay. Teachers, those of you who are joining us this evening, would you like to introduce yourselves? First, let's start with our new principal, Mrs. Boron. And first we want to welcome her as our principal. Hello, Mrs. Boron. Do you have anything you want to say, Mrs. Boron, or introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Mrs. Boron, and I used to be the social studies, Spanish, and cooking teacher. I've been here for 21 years. This is my 22nd year. So I started when I was very, very young. And I am very happy to be your principal this year. I'm excited for this year. It's a crazy year, but it's just like any amusement park ride. We're here for the thrill, and we're going to have fun. And who knows where we'll end up. But I am very excited for this year for you all, and I'm here for you. My girls are in their senior year, so I have children that have gone all the way through school from kindergarten to their senior year in Haines, and it's a great school to be a part of. And my door is locked, but that doesn't mean that it's actually always open to you. You just have to go through Tiana first. So certainly if you have any questions, I'm always available, and I look forward to having you in high school.
Wonderful.
And maybe Mr. Robinson should go next, because he is what I was, right?
Yes. Mr.
Fair
Robinson,
enough.
teacher, tell us about yourself.
Oh dear. I got a barking dog. 1 minute. Actually, I'm gonna pass it off to Alex. You take it first.
My dog's out on a run with my wife, so I think I'm safe. I'm Alex Van Wy, Mr. Van Wy. I am the language arts teacher. This is going to be my 5th year here in Haines. I also am the student government advisor. I run with the cross country team as much as I can because I enjoy it. And yeah, I'm excited for this incoming class. We're going to get to know each other a little bit differently with this slow start, but I don't think that's going to affect I don't think it'll affect our relationships or anything like that. We're just going to have a slower start. And I'm looking forward to being able to use that time to get to know everyone that much better. So that's me. Back to Mr. Robinson.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. And in a lot of ways, I feel like some of the freshmen, perhaps, being new to the school, a lot of you are actually probably more plugged into the Haines School than I have been. I do come here with many years of teaching experience, and so I'm looking forward to sharing all of my experience in the classroom and also just around the world with my students. So I look forward to being part of the team and being part of the staff and just hanging out and teaching some good stuff to everybody. So we're in this together, and I can't, it'll be fun. There will be some challenges, no doubt, but that kind of goes without saying these days. And I look forward to experiencing all of this with you guys. So here we go.
Great. Mr. McFeeters?
I'm Mr. McFeeters. I'm the computer science teacher and ILC manager, which we'll talk about later. And the technology coordinator. So I'm the one that's setting up all your computers right now. To echo Mrs. Boron, I've been here 20-some years and have enjoyed it greatly and look forward to another year, whatever this year holds.
Great. Mr. Fontenot?
Yeah, hi, Mr. Fontenot here, and incoming freshman. I'll be your science teacher and your health teacher this year. I'll teach you earth science and health, and then I could potentially be your honor society advisor, and I'll be talking about that in a little while. I'm excited to see what this year holds, particularly the in-class parts. To do some science with you and teach you about some life choices that are in the health curriculum. So I think I know most of you really, and there's a couple that I'm looking forward to getting to meet.
Wonderful. Mrs. Swinton?
I'm Lindsay Swinton. This is my third year at the school and second year as the activities director. 2020 is going to be a little different on this end, but we're really working on getting our kids as involved as we can in whatever capacity that is. So I'm looking forward to having all of you guys involved in one way or another.
Great. Thank you, Mrs. Swinton. And all of these things we've touched on, we will be going into a little more in detail in just a moment. So some of our other high school teachers who aren't able to be here tonight, we have Mr. Feeks, who is out in the shop, who teaches auto and welding and wood shop. And he's also teaches some emergency trauma technician classes in the classroom. He sometimes teaches personal finance. He sometimes teaches applied math, some math classes. So he is very versatile. Mr. Dagan is going to be your math teacher. So he will be teaching all the variations of math. We have Mr. Davis, who is your music teacher. Mrs. Miller is our art teacher. Who am I missing? There's paras around the building a lot. Mrs. Sherman and Miss Benassi and a lot of the same faces you've seen.
Miss Marshke will be on.
We do have a new special ed coordinator named Jen Marshke. So she is will be joining us as well in the school, in the middle school and high school, overseeing our special ed program in those areas. Who else am I forgetting? Going through all the classrooms in my head. So if we think of somebody that I've forgotten, we will definitely mention that. So I have a list of things I want to cover. It is not necessarily in any specific order, so it may feel like we're back and forth a bit. I hope that's not too jarring. Hopefully it will flow a little bit. So freshmen, one of the things I want to say and you may hear it again from me, you may hear it from some of the other staff. High school is significantly different. In some ways it won't feel overly different, but in some ways it will feel a little bit different than middle school did. As you enter high school, we expect you to become more independent, right? Your responsibility is to check your emails and to stay on top of your homework and your assignments and your obligations, and to seek and ask for help, which can be very, very hard to do, even for adults, to ask for help. So if that's something that you aren't good at, letting somebody know that so they can help you with that would be really great. If you have one person who can help you out by reminding you to ask or to know that you need a little help with something, finding somebody who can help you with that would be great. But the teachers aren't going to chase you around. Well, they kind of do, because we all want you to succeed. And so the teachers here are very, very flexible, and they work really hard with helping you all become and stay and remain as successful as you can be. We want the best for you. We want you to succeed. We want you to go forth into the world and be great, because you're already great. So we want you to have some knowledge in your brain noggins. So stay on top of your grades. Seems pretty worth stating that if you do the homework, you get the homework done. And do the homework and then turn in the homework. That's a mystery that sometimes happens, is people do the homework and then they don't turn it in. So go ahead, and when you do an assignment, go ahead and finish it. That would be great. I'm gonna, just because I want to see if I can be fancy, Mr. McHughes, can I share my screen? I can share screen, huzzah. I'm gonna show you the website, the school website, which I'm certain you have seen. But I want you to become, if you haven't already, to become familiar with the school counselor page. Let's go there, shall we? Oh, thank you, host. Okay, here we go.
Hey, Kristen, we're not seeing what you're seeing.
I haven't done it yet. What about now?
Okay.
Yep. I just was doing it. Well, now what do you see, Pam? Is it working now? Do you see the web page?
That it's Courtney, but I don't see it.
Courtney, sorry. Do you see it yet?
Nope.
Oh. Share screen. Mr. McPeters is pushing buttons. You want to share your screen, Mr. McPeters, or shall I? It's not letting me do it. He's doing magic things. Well, while we do that, I'm the host now. Oh, huzzah. Okay. Oh, look. I want my desktop. Yes.
Wow.
Now, if I can make my
Green.
screen. Now what? Now what? Can you see it?
We're good. We can see it.
Oh, brilliant. Huzzah. Okay, thank you. All right. So on the web page, there is when you come to the home page, there is right here in the top a lovely tab that says school counselor. Very clear. That's me, you guys. I'm your school counselor. Yay. So things that you might have questions for me might be on here. So you click on that, and we have some upcoming events which are going to be updated. There are scholarship links right here, scholarship information, and there's a local link that takes you to a spreadsheet of local scholarships, and then the non-local scholarships takes you right to the link. I'm going to tell you this now, and I know scholarships are not on your brain yet because you're freshmen, but in 7.5 minutes, which is how long high school lasts, you will be seniors and you will be thinking about scholarships, right? Juniors and seniors, it goes really fast. So this is an area you're going to want to familiarize yourself with at least in a couple years. Start looking at this. And I will come and talk to your class about looking at scholarships and how to go deal with scholarships. What I do want you to hear me say, though, is the local scholarship dates and pages are never updated until about March of the year you graduate. So if you were to log on to that right now, the dates will all be from last spring, because that's when I start getting information, is early March, because my intention is to get those up and posted by spring break. And so that you have spring break in April. Most things are due in April and early May. So just to give you an idea about that. So that's something, an area of the website on the school counselor page you're going to want to look at in the next couple years. But here under quick links on the left are some links that you may want and sooner than that. You can see by reading them that there is how to register for ACT and SAT. That happens usually your junior and senior years. How to do a link to the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. Some of these things, again, are happening when you're a little bit older. But what I would direct your attention to currently, moms, dads, and students, is this course catalog, which is going to just give you all the details about the classes that are offered. We have updated it and it's beautiful, guys. It's much easier to read. It is very clear. It lists your graduation requirements, which can be a bear to get your brains around. We'll talk about it briefly right now. But yeah, I want you to be able to get familiar with that. There's also over here the counseling guide, which is a big, brand new, very deep, in-depth booklet about sort of an overview of the counseling, but it is very detailed, and I would absolutely encourage you to start looking at that now. It has timelines for things you need to be doing as early as your sophomore year to stay on target for graduating and college applications, and it goes into a great deal of information about a lot of stuff. So those are two things I would take a look at. Okay. Speaking of high school planning, let me see what happens when I go to the course catalog. Is it working? I bet it is, because I'm still, yay, thanks, sharing my screen. So here's our beautiful course guide, our new mission and our overview. So I just want to draw your attention here to the graduation requirements. These can be kind of confusing. You don't have to know it all by heart tonight. You don't even have to fully understand it tonight. Some of you have had kids who've already been through high school, so this is somewhat familiar. Some of you are seeing this for the first time. So in middle school, your classes and your grades count, right? But they count differently in high school, because what I mean by that is they're going to go on what's called a transcript, which if you decide to go to a career and tech vocational school, or if you decide to go to a specialty school like massage school or college or whatever you decide to do after school, and sometimes even jobs, they ask for your transcripts. So all of your teachers, when we applied for our jobs here, we had to send in our transcripts from college. But if you don't have a college degree, they might want your high school transcripts too. So transcripts are really important, and it is a record of your grades, the classes you took, the courses you took, and the grades you received in them. So keep that in mind as you are studying. But the state of Alaska requires students in the whole state to take some basic classes, and these are our requirements from the state to graduate from Haines High School. Okay, I'm going to let you look at if you look at this column, the high school, Haines High School graduation requirements. Okay. There is also, in our state, there are two ways to earn money when you graduate from high school and if you choose to go to college. The state of Alaska gives money through something called the UA Scholars, which is at the end of your junior year. A nomination is made to the state. I usually do that, but it is not just an arbitrary nomination. It is the one or two people who are in the top 10% of your class at the end of your junior year. The number we get to nominate is based on how many students are in your class. So if there are 15 or fewer, there we get one nominee. More than that, right? So each number. So we typically have one or two UA scholars per year, but that is something to keep in mind as you are going through high school and earning your grades and getting your grade point average or your GPA, that the one or two people in the top 10% of your class will automatically be nominated for the University of Alaska's UA Scholars Program, which is $12,000 to use over 4 years. So that is incredibly, that is money that's for you if you earn it. We also have a very generous state that has the Alaska Performance Scholarship, and there are 2 ways to earn that. And these 2 columns here on the right, the center and the right, explain the 2 ways to earn that, the requirements, and they're a little bit different than just our graduation requirements. And so I talk about the Alaska Performance Scholarship with students a lot because there are a couple of variations that students can cause hiccups for students down the line if you're not thinking ahead and planning ahead. So graduation planning and high school planning and sitting and really thinking and looking at your whole big picture of the next 4 years is very crucial. Mrs. Boron and I are going to be sitting with you, each of you, in the next, hopefully the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, to kind of start your brain to think about, what are you thinking right now? We get it, guys. We know that what you're thinking about today, what you might want to do after high school, will probably change 27 more times, maybe even tonight. And that's okay. We want to kind of look at a bigger picture. And so we're going to sit with you and help you do that. When you come and talk to me about your schedules and the classes, and we kind of look ahead at what you need and what each year might look like, I'm going to talk about the Alaska Performance Scholarship, and I try to keep everybody taking the classes that will help you stay qualified for that when it comes down to it, and so that nothing becomes a surprise. Okay? That can be really a big thing to get your head around, the graduation requirements and the Alaska Performance Scholarship, but I'm not going to talk about it any further right now. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, great. We're going to cruise right along, friends. All right. Mr. McFeeters, would you like to talk about computer information and things kids should know about that, a family should know about tech and computer in general, and maybe ILC as well?
All right, so just like from your previous experience of middle school, pretty much every class that you are going to take will require a computer, especially with the virtual school and virtual school options. You'll definitely want to have a computer for that. You are welcome to use your own personal computer for that, but we do expect you to follow the same rules that we have for the computers that you are able to rent. And those are the rental computers are the computers that you need to fill out a contract for. There's a contract on the hbsd.net website. I put a link to a digital version of it on the Glacier Bear Facebook page, and I can easily email that to you if you need that. There is a fee of $100 a year for the computer rental. Let's see, what else do I need to know about that? Just basic requirements of being able to take your computer home. You shouldn't eat or drink near it. Most of the repair bills that have to come from normally occur when somebody's walking with a computer open, standing up when it was on their lap and suddenly it hits the floor, spilling liquids on it. There's been some really fun liquids that I've had to clean out of a computer. Very odd liquids. Anyways, additionally from that, let's see, you will be able to take these computers home, and those expectations continue to your house. If something breaks, you need to let me know right away so that we can get it fixed. All right, so any questions regarding computers? Hearing none, I'll move on to the next thing. Ms. Brumfield there was talking about the ILC. The ILC stands for the Independent Learning Center. Independent Learning Center has that word in front that says independent, meaning that you are learning on your own. We have classes that are available mainly for juniors and seniors, but this is something you can think about for the future, where you can take some classes that might challenge you in different ways than what the staff at Haines High can accommodate. Oftentimes with these classes, they can be dual credit classes, which means you're taking a high school class, but you're earning college credit for it. Those classes are a little bit more expensive. And oftentimes as a junior, you will be required to pay those. But when you're a senior, we actually currently, and hopefully by the time you're a senior, will be able to support up to $1,000 towards those classes. So that's a pretty awesome thing that we do here at Haines High School. Have I covered everything?
I think you did. You
Are
did
there any
indeed.
questions regarding that? Also, I should probably say, by default, I get to be the class advisor for the freshman class, so I will be your class advisor.
That is right. That is right. Good. And as Mr. McFeeder says, that's independent. There is occasionally a teacher in there who's just sort of monitoring and who will absolutely help and work with you. But there are occasions when there is not a teacher in there and you are in there working on your own. It's the room beside my office. And it is your job to stay. Those are classes. They count for credit. And so if you don't do your homework while you're in there and take advantage of staying on, and they're intended to be worked on a little each day so that you stay right on target. And if you don't, you get very behind. And some of our students can maybe speak to how dreadful that is to get behind. Attendance counts. It always counts, right? The more you're here, the better off. But we count attendance. Is there any attendance, anything special about the attendance policy, Mrs. Boron, that they maybe should know that's different or unique?
I would say the big thing to remember with attendance is that if you're involved in activities, attendance is very important. And I think Ms. Swinton is probably going to talk about that with eligibility requirements. And so you'll definitely want to be aware of those. Attendance is going to look a little different this year in the pandemic, and we'll cover those guidelines later. I'm sure your parents probably want to know too, what happens if I'm sick and I can't be there. There's a lot of different worries that you may have, but I think the key here is that you be at school because it matters. And if you are gone, if you have more than eight unexcused absences, in a class, then you may have to petition the board to get credit for that. So that is something that's different than middle school. Middle school, it's not quite so cut and dry, but just make sure that you understand that your attendance is very important in order for you to get credit for a course. So you want to start with good habits, but also don't stress if you are in a situation, if you're one of those students that worries about doing your very best and you're thinking, what if, then don't worry about that. We'll deal with it on a case-by-case basis. We understand that in this environment, things are going to look a little different. We're willing to work with you as long as you are working very hard to stay on track and to be here when you're supposed to be here.
Thank you. So I mentioned some scholarship benefits of paying attention to your grades and being mindful of your grades. But there are a couple other things that happen in our high school that are, one of them I think is entirely unique to this school. I had not ever been anywhere we did that. And so Mrs. Bourne, I know you just spoke, but would you mind telling us about the High Honors and High Honors dinner that we do?
I would love to talk about that. So we have something very cool. And if for students who carry a 3.7 grade point average for the first three quarters of the school year, we take a look at that after your third quarter. And if you have consistently maintained a 3.7 across GPA, across all, I'm trying to think about, Tiana gives me the numbers, but it's 3.7. We look at that, and my job is to create the menu. That's why I'm a little iffy here on the grading part, because my job is to make the menu. And we create a wonderful 5-course meal, and we, as the teachers, the staff, the high school staff, put on a very fancy formal meal, and we serve you to celebrate your academic success. And if you probably saw in last spring, even though we were in the middle of a pandemic, we figured out a way to deliver a fancy meal. I think it may have been on paper plates, but it was still fancy and it tasted good, I think. So that's just something fun. It's a way we show how proud we are of you, of your hard work. So if you like good cooking and you really wish that you could have a nice restaurant experience, I'm not going to promise the venue, but I will promise that the food will taste divine.
And the staff will serve it to you.
And the staff will serve it.
That's right. Wonderful. Another wonderful opportunity that's pretty great that Mr. Fontenot is going to tell us about is the National Honor Society. Mr. Fontenot?
Hi, yeah, I'm the National Honor Society advisor, and you can't get in until 3 semesters after your second semester of your sophomore year, first semester of sophomore year, you can apply. So you might wonder why I'm telling you about this now, but it's because the requirement to be eligible to be a candidate to even apply is based on, once again, your GPA, your cumulative grade point average. So you have to have 3 semesters on record at Haines High School and have a 3.4 GPA or higher, and that allows you to apply. And the other requirements for the NHS, which is an organization that goes back more than 100 years, are based on being able to show that you're a leader among your peers and that you volunteer in your school and community. So if you think of yourself as a scholarly person, as an academic, someone who cares about their grades and does well in school, you're maybe kind of smart, and you're also kind of a leader, and you also kind of get involved and help a lot, and you like to help, then that's something to set your sights on a little bit. And the reasons why would be that you would be hanging out with a group of other like-minded people that are also leaders, helpers, and scholars. And it doesn't hurt when you apply for college to have that little feather in your cap. So even though that's a ways off for you, might seem like a really long time, having tanking in your first couple of semesters can take you out of contention for several years. Sometimes people don't make it until they're seniors. So if that's something that you want to set your sights on, focus on doing your work, just like everyone's already said. Do your work, come to school, think about how you can show evidence of being a good leader and a helper among your peers and in your community, and consider applying when your time comes. Any questions? I doubt you have any questions because you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's
We're giving lots of information, so as you think of things, do speak up. Thank you, Mr. Fontenot. Moving right along, just like in middle school, your grades live in Power School. Your classes and your grades and things live in Power School. And if you weren't already in the habit, please, 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 parents and students, please get in the habit of checking regularly Power School. Check your grades. You can actually click on there. Moms and dads, you can click on there and find out what homework is missing. So if your student is telling you something that they don't have any homework or that they're all caught up, you can check and make sure that that's true. It's all listed there, what's maybe missing, what's late, what's behind, what's turned in. Hopefully it'll be all the stuff is turned in, but Power School is the way to find that information out and engage with grades and so forth. And Mr. McFeeters can help with any Power School technical issues. Just email him. Speaking of email, even more than in middle school, your school email is crucial, students. It is absolutely critical that you think about now as a high schooler. Your job is high school, and just like all the parents in the room and all the adults you know who have jobs, they likely have a work email, and it is our job to stay on top of that and to check and to respond to emails, even if it is an acknowledgement, okay, like that so we know you got it and you received it. And it can take a while to get a handle on how to filter and find folders and stuff. So organizing your email, Mr. McFeeters may cover in your Computer 1 class. He maybe has already covered it in some of your basic computers classes. But anyway, check your email. Please respond to email. It is the way we communicate. I have a lot of students who go, I don't check my school email, use my personal one. No, no, sir. No, madam. That is not how we do it at the school. You are professional students. We will use your professional school emails to communicate with you. Okay. If you ever have any questions or need things, parents or students, just email your teachers or call us. We are happy to make appointments and meet with you because we love you and we like to see your faces. There is homework help, a period of homework help available for everybody every single day after school, even now with our shortened day. We get out of school at 2:15 and homework help will begin at 2:30 and it will end at 3. Activities, which Ms. Swinton will discuss in just a moment, don't begin until 3. So you can, the excuse of I couldn't stay for homework help because I had cross country isn't going to fly, because homework help is intentionally created and no practices ever will start after school. They always will start after homework help. It is not required to go, but you are encouraged to go. There's a person in there who can help you. And if you are ineligible for activities, you will be required to go. Mrs. Swinton will discuss about that. Okay. As events come up and things happen that you need to know, you will get the emails and you'll get the Facebooks and you'll get the Blooms and you'll get all the ways that we communicate with you. We will send information out to you. I want to turn this over to Mrs. Swinton so she can talk for about 6 to 10 minutes about activities, and then we're going to open it up to our precious students who have logged on to be our panel tonight to speak about their experiences. So Mrs. Swinton, you're on activities.
So I could actually talk for a long time about all of this, but I'm going to try to keep it really short, and I want current high schoolers to chime in if I'm missing anything or if there's something important on your end that you think the freshmen should know. So first, I'll start with kind of our 2020 update. Activities are going to look a lot different than they have in the past. Travel's going to be different. But we were fortunate enough to be able to start cross country this year. If you haven't already been going to practices and you are interested in joining, it's not too late. We've had some new protocols. You'll be required to have a mask on you, social distancing, but when you're actually running and participating in vigorous activity, you do not need a mask. We're really just encouraging to respect social distancing, play your part in washing your hands, keeping your hygiene up. And if anybody wants to, any of the current people in cross country want to kind of comment on how you guys are doing with the new protocols, if they're totally uncomfortable or if it's pretty normal, however you feel about it. Hannah or Haley, you want to?
Yeah. So far I just went on a run, so sorry. I look pretty, it's not easy to look this. So far the protocols have been actually pretty natural, because cross country is a pretty easy sport, I'd say, to enter in with the protocols, since we can all spread out and be pretty distant, but the mask wearing is super easy. The distance portion, we always got like Coach Katie reminding us to stay separate and stuff like that. So far it's been pretty great, and I would love to see more freshmen on cross country. So yeah, that's all I'd have to say.
Good, thank you. So,
Lindsay,
I'm
sorry, pardon me, this is Courtney. Hi. Griffin doesn't have, he has an appointment for his physical, but can he join before that gets, he gets that paperwork or not?
No, I need a physical on file. Okay. But as soon as you get that, and on top of a physical, a Planet High School account, that's where all of our eligibility forms are. And with that, parents and students are able to create an account and link them, and all of our TAD agreement, our tobacco and alcohol drugs agreement, our activities agreement, a COVID waiver, a physical evaluation history form, and there's a few more forms on there I can't think of off the top of my head, but everything is in one place and they're super easy to go through and read and watch the videos. But yeah, so once that's created and the physical's in, he's totally eligible to practice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Travel is still very unclear. So typically we are part of the Region 5 and we can go from Wrangell, Petersburg, Metlakatla, Craig, and us are the last, that was 5. And we can travel by ferry or small plane or Alaska Airlines. I haven't had a typical year. Last year was kind of difficult as well when it came to travel, but normally we go to these places, we're group housed. I will send out a packing list with an entire agenda of where the kids will be and what time and when their games are. But it is up to them to be responsible for themselves and pack what they need. Remember their uniforms, remember money for food. Each time they travel, they are given one meal from the teams, but the rest of them is their responsibility. All of our guidelines for our conduct while we're on trips is in our activities handbook, which you have to read and sign on Planet High School, but it's also on the website. Pretty easy to get to, pretty straightforward. So to kind of go back on what they're talking about for eligibility, it's very important. Freshmen go in with a clean slate, but we check grades every Tuesday at noon. And if you have a D or an F, you are required to go to homework help. I'll send out emails saying, this is your grade. Go to homework help today and the rest of the week to finish it and get it moved up before you can participate. You need to keep a 2.0 throughout the entire season. And when we do travel typically, you have to have all of your homework completed when you return. So you can't get back from a trip and say, well, I didn't have time to do my homework. And when you're traveling around here, you have a lot of time to kind of catch up on stuff. And I guess other kids who have traveled before can kind of speak to that as well if they like, how important it is to stay up on your homework while you're traveling. Does anybody have any tips for some of the kids? Or I don't know how to unmute.
I mean, I'll say something. I don't want to be the only one talking, but I know for me, I try to get my homework done as much as I can before I even go. You don't have to do this, but I spend all of my lunches doing homework after I eat. It's just easier, and it is really rough to travel and do homework, but you can always ask your upperclassmen. People have been through this, especially for stuff like Spanish. You will have help when you need it, and if you just get it all done, then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the trip, and it's super easy if you just knock it all out. And then that's pretty much it.
And for those of you who don't want to spend lunch doing homework like me, that's a really great idea, but usually like you'll or we don't have advisory, and I think now it'll be easier to get your assignments done with the amount of time home we have, but on trips specifically, lots of people screw around on the boats. And when they're in the airports and I have seen people procrastinate so much that they come home and are not able to go on the next trip because they have so much built up work. So I can't stress enough the importance of getting your work done on the boats, because you have like hours of this awesome free time. And then what I do is like I just grind the first few days, and then I have the rest of the trip to goof off and have fun and like read or draw. It's important to get your stuff done as soon as you can, but don't stress over it, but just make sure it's done.
And I would really say that when you're doing things, sometimes in order to get your work on the ferries or the planes and stuff, you'll have to actually make it so that your documents are visible offline, which is a really, really helpful thing. I know Mr. McFeeters explained it to me. But you can get your Google Docs offline, which then you can't use the excuse that you don't have Wi-Fi. I know some things may need it, but then you can get the work done where you don't need Wi-Fi. And then when you do have Wi-Fi, you can spend that time doing things you have to do. And that really helped me on track. I didn't really have that until halfway through my freshman year. And it was like, I didn't really know how to do it. And so once I did, that was super helpful for me. So that's just something I would say.
Google Docs offline is a gift from the gods. A direct blessing upon us high schoolers. Get the offline version.
Thanks, guys. So, and then another thing with attendance, if we are traveling, you are expected to be there the day before you leave, the day you leave, and then the day you get back. So if you get off the boat at noon, you're expected to be at school when you get off the boat for the rest of the day. And that can be kind of rough, but it's holding you accountable to get your work done and to get back to school. And there might be things that seem a little overwhelming, but there's so many people who really want to help you, and all you really need to do is ask, and it can be me or another teacher or fellow students. We really want everyone to succeed and be able to keep participating. And then probably another one of my most important things is communication with me. I am accessible by email and phone to parents, and we're also trying to do all of our communication through Blooms. Most of you are on it from last year when we really rolled it out, but this year we're really focusing on our coaches using that and having all communication with that we can through the app with them. And so if you have any questions about activities in general or what this year is going to look like, and there's probably hundreds of little things you could think of to ask. I'm always available. I'm in the high school end now, so I have an office in here for kids to come and contact me and ask me questions. And yeah, I'm excited for this year, even though it's going to be a little bit different, but we're working on some new ideas to help kind of fill in the gaps where they may show up. So yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Swinton. So everything you ever really need to be told in terms of information given to you is going to be emailed to you by coaches, by the activities director, by the staff, you're going to get information. It's going to be on the computer. It's going to be on the website. It's going to be on social media. It's going to be all the places. There might be airplanes flying with the streamers behind, maybe not, but it's going to be everywhere. So, and of course, again, check your email. So, Mr. Dagan, Mr. Feeks, thank you for joining us. Welcome. Do either of you want to say hello and introduce yourselves before we go to our student panel? I'm going to take the silence as a no, but thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Students who are not freshmen, Haley, Hannah, Eli, Avery, Natalie, go ahead and unmute yourselves and unvideo yourselves. I mean, video, we can see you. And this is your chance. I don't know if you each want to say a little blurb about your own experience, things you wish you'd known, or if you want to just take some questions, that's entirely up to you. Avery, you're a sophomore this year, yeah?
Yeah.
Avery Getchell, sorry. So anything as of just newly recovered freshman that you want to share about things you had wished? Okay.
So it was definitely a big difference from going from middle school to high school, but it was a good one. My favorite part of the school year was definitely just like there's a much different atmosphere and like environment to the high school than there is to the middle school, and that's like a really positive change. And so I think that a great way to kind of get out there is to do sports and do different activities and things. I think that's like kind of what got me along and got me started into the year. And then on like academics and everything. Just like pay attention, do your best. And then definitely do your schoolwork on the ferry to the trips, and don't procrastinate it off, because the traveling does sometimes get a little bit stressful, but as long as you keep on top of things, it's totally fine. And yeah.
Great.
I got something I could say, I
Oh,
guess.
great. Haley, go for
If
it.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll probably think of more, or if anyone has any questions about athletics. I do basketball, track, and cross country. I'm in student government. I play trumpet. I love music. I see Sophia. That's you and me. And I do a lot, so if anyone has any questions for me at all, feel free to ask. But I think some good advice. When I entered high school, there was a culture that kind of divided the classes, the upperclassmen and the lowerclassmen. And I remember in my orientation, I was told by the people, the students, the seniors doing it, you might have to, take out the trash for the seniors, but, it's just part of being a freshman, give up your spot too. You gotta, if they say do something, you gotta do it. No, that's so bogus. That was a culture there, but it's not anymore. I would just encourage all you freshmen, if you have questions, don't be afraid to talk to your upperclassmen, because we all want to help you, and it's a really, really supportive high school. Don't be scared of us seniors. We're super nice and friendly, and we got a lot of good insight for you. So yeah.
Any other panelists?
Well, that's some pretty good advice, but some great advice that I would definitely recommend is there's an activity that is not usually on people's radar that is very awesome and amazing, and it's called DDF, and everyone should do it. But that's beside the point of me saying that if you think that you're at all interested in acting or debating or writing speeches and performing them, then definitely check out DDF. And if you're not interested in that and you just want to become a better public speaker, then DDF is definitely something that you should look into, because it's something that I have spent 3 years of my life doing, and it is definitely worth it, because it pays off when you start picking out your pieces, you start rehearsing, practicing, you start working on becoming a better actor and better performer, and then it pays off because at the end of the year your pieces are so good and you feel so proud of yourself. So definitely would say DDF is something to, if you're unaware of it, or if you are aware of it, definitely something worth checking out.
You're here.
And I will just add, I know sometimes it might seem like a little, like Haley said, it might seem a little scary sometimes to like talk to upperclassmen, which, I mean, I definitely felt that way as a freshman too. But I do just want to say, like, a lot of us upperclassmen, wow, that sounds so weird to say I'm an upperclassman. A lot of classmen will totally be willing to help you out. So, like, I know personally, if you have questions ask a couple questions, I would totally be willing to do that. I'm pretty sure a lot of other upperclassmen would as well. And don't hesitate to do that. I know once I started getting in closer with the music kids, I started getting in closer with, Haley, Hannah, all of those people that were a grade or two above me. And it really helped me to like take the time to stop and talk to some of them, because I started seeing things and I started like kind of seeing their mentality, seeing all of these different things that definitely helped me with school. So I would just say don't hesitate to do that. And I promise like 90% of us will totally be like happy to talk to you.
I think a big change that you have to get used to when you come to high school is the travel and keeping up with your schoolwork. But there's something even before that, and that's knowing what your schoolwork is. As a middle schooler, your teachers come to you. Usually your teachers are like, oh yeah, I know you're traveling this Friday, here's your work. In high school, you need to go to your teachers and say, I'm going to be gone these days. What am I going to miss? And a lot of times they'll just say, check Google Classroom, which isn't always easy to do while you're traveling. So I've learned that another important thing to ask other than what am I going to miss is what do I need to bring? Because you might get there and you check Google Classroom, it says read this chapter, and you realize you didn't bring your book. So first off, go to your teachers. They're not going to come to you. It's your responsibility. And then ask them, what am I going to miss and what do I need to bring? And that will save you a lot of trouble.
You guys are professional advice givers. I'm so impressed. Well done, all of you. Hannah, do you have anything?
And make sure,
Oh, sorry, Natalie.
sorry. I was just going to say, with what Avery said, make sure you do it like, I try to do it like at least 3 or 4 days before I leave. If they don't have stuff planned those days, they have a little bit of time to before you actually leave. Because I think it was Mr. Dagan, and it was the day that I was leaving, and he still wasn't super sure on the plan. And I realized, like, no, like, I definitely should have come a couple days early. Like, it was my fault that I hadn't ask a couple days before you leave. That way, if they don't know exactly what they want to do yet, they have some time to figure it out.
Honestly, you guys, that was really, really well said. Yes, ma'am.
I thought of some other stuff. As I've done a whole lot in high school, and I've been involved in a lot of different activities, and it might be scary at first, a bit daunting to grind on those Honor Fest auditions or go to practice every day, and maybe you join a sport and it entails so much traveling. You're like, what did I get myself into? But I'd encourage you all to get out of your comfort zone, run for student office, the trips and going to OSOG. It's so much fun. Like the more I've traveled a whole lot. Like I'd say most of my, a big bulk of my year was spent outside of Haines, as well as lots of the basketball team, because those trips ended up being kind of long. But it's really unique being here in Southeast Alaska. It's quite a contrast. It's not just a 4-hour bus ride. It's a whole saga of really fun, cool stuff. Sometimes stressful, but you got some great stories to tell. And also, this hasn't anything to do with traveling and being involved, do that, but in high school, there's a level of maturity that you're gonna have to grow into. It's where you develop as who you're gonna be in life, and you may enter not a perfect person, no one does, but I would just encourage you all to practice being respectful. Don't be those crazy, obnoxious, like, freshies that trash the pod or like throw Gatorade bottles everywhere. Like, no one wants to do that. That's like, we've had some problems with really messy newcomers, and just be nice to people, right? We don't have any need for hazing or like putting others down. It's supposed to be a very encouraging environment, and I guess what I would ask of any newcomers as a senior is to just reciprocate that respect. There's no reason to be completely rambunctious and stuff, but yeah.
Hannah.
Sorry, I don't mean to carry it on too long, but yeah, I think like what everybody's been saying, this is a totally new environment. You've never done this before, but I really encourage you, like you was saying, step out of your comfort zone, because there's going to be all these new things at your fingertips, and it can be really intimidating, especially when you have people like Haley and I and Natalie who've been doing this for 3 or 4 years. You're going to look at people who've been doing this for a long time, and you're going to be like, I'm not good at that. Oh, like DDF, like everyone I know, I hate public speaking. Who would want to do that? I hate running. I never want to do it in my life. Who actually likes running? And a lot of us didn't. A lot of us hated it. But now that we've pushed through and grown as people, we have come to love a lot of the things we've done. And so I really encourage you to say, you know what? I don't really like public speaking, but I like telling jokes. people think I'm a funny person, so I'll try DDF, and it's so worth it. It's so fun. And then as for like Avery was saying too, there's a whole new culture that I feel like I thrived in, people thrive in when they come from middle school, because you're ready to move on to the step where people treat you with a more kind of adult like maturity. And if you carry yourself with self-respect and respect for others, respect your teachers, I'm just going to say this, show your teachers you appreciate them, because these people are superhuman. I mean, I'll be emailing people like at 9 expecting an answer later, and they'll be like, oh yeah, here's this document. And so everyone here really, really cares about you. Like Haley said, there's not going to be like, oh, we're going to beat you up, or, give me your lunch money. There's none of that. We all love you guys, and we're so happy to have you here in high school. But yeah, just show appreciation for everybody around you, because we appreciate you and we're happy to have you here. So yeah, that's my spiel. Also, DDF is awesome. Please do DDF. Sorry.
All right, last comment, Eli.
I just want to say what Hannah said is very true of, getting out of your comfort zone is great, because we have so many activities that are worth trying, definitely. And what's also great is that if you go into an activity and you don't enjoy it, that's fine. But I say go out and at least try it, because I've tried activities that aren't exactly for me, but I'm still glad I tried them, because it's great to know stuff that you do and don't like, and you're never going to know if you don't try. So definitely get out of your comfort zone and just try whatever you want to. This is high school.
And for a small town, we have a great many opportunities, not just in activities, but just during school and the classes we offer and provide, and the dual enrollment, and a lot of the things that we offer despite our location and our small population. We have some extraordinary opportunities that are really great. Couple more things before we wrap up. Another activity we didn't talk about, I want to throw it back to Mr. Van Wy to talk about student government real quick, please.
I'll keep this super short, 30-second short. Student government is wonderful. We'll have elections in the fall. Activities are limited, and so at this point, the fall statewide student government conference, which is often a big activity of student government, is canceled. We'll see what happens with spring, but our focus this fall will be on what we can do in the building and within the community. So sometime within the first month of school, after we kind of see how things get rolling, we'll have elections, and their president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary for each class. So I definitely encourage you to run. It's a fun activity and a good group of people, nice mix from throughout the school. That's it.
Thank you. I like that the kids echoed each other in saying that the student culture is really a supportive culture. I hope that you find that the culture of the whole school and the building, and that of the information and energy you receive from our staff, is also that of support and positivity and love, because we do want you to all do well, and we are here for you. Every one of us. All you have to do is email or call us for questions or concerns or anything. I want to remind you that as your school counselor, I am here for all of you. I'm here to talk about your high school plan. I'm here to talk about your after high school plan. I'm here to help you through those really overwhelming days when you have taken on too much and your plate is very full and you are in tears. My office is here for that. And you're right here in the hallway now of my classroom, but I want to remind you, and parents, that extends to you as well. If you need, I'm going to say a hug, but maybe not right now, which is really sad. Any last comments? I want to honor your time. I'm so grateful you've all been here. Any last comments from anyone?
Consider DDF.
DDF. I hope that you all, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say, add on to what you're saying, as well as all the awesome moments and stuff like that in high school, there will be moments where you might break down. You might be in a corner, or you just run off to the bathroom and it's too much and you're just in there, and just know that we've all had days like that. I mean, especially during this hard time. So even if you go out there and try, and we're all like, yeah, cross helping you up or whatever, and then it doesn't turn out as you wanted to and you're having a really rough time, don't ever be ashamed to go get help, especially in the winter too. A lot of people can have really hard time when there's lots of homework. It's dark, you can't go outside. So really be kind to yourself and understand your limits. And with a lot of new input, just understand, even though you're trying new things and that can be uncomfortable, if it's too uncomfortable, always go to Miss Kristen and always talk to your teachers, because they will understand and they will help you get through that and give you some, don't hold on, because it'll be worse in the end. That's all I wanted to say. Mental health.
Wonderful. Parents, teachers, students, all of you, thank you for your time tonight. I hope you found this helpful and useful. I appreciate your time. We're emails away. So have a good evening. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Bye. Thank you, Miss Kristen.
You're welcome.